Hello there, and welcome back to my channel. My name is Tunia Bodunde, and this is another episode on Faith Not Furious Parenting. And today I'll be talking about how that we can manage our emotions as our parents, not just our emotion, managing our anger, managing our responses, being strategic in giving response to children, being the adults, being the Christ-like mom, Christ-like dad, being the reflection of that thing that we are teaching our children to be, not just what we are telling them to be, but what we are exemplifying for them to follow. So the first thing I'm going to talk about is that how we give responses to children when they ask certain questions, maybe questions you don't expect, but you're giving them an instruction and you're not expecting certain questions from them. And it happens most times. When they're asking you a question, you're tempted to give them a sarcastic, slightly ridiculous response, like, oh, where can I put this? Oh, you can put it on my head. Or whatever you like, you can put it. It's actually good to learn the law of kindness, especially when we speak to children. One thing we want them to do is to be kind, and this is one of the things we encourage them to be consistently, not only in the home, in the church, in the school, where they are being taught, where they are being nurtured, where they are being mentored, and all. They are being taught the law of kindness, and one of the places where they should see this is the home, their mom, their dad, and it comes also in the form of conversations, responses that we give to them, the manner with which we speak to them. Sometimes you may feel justified, but I tell you, there's no justification for being harsh or being sarcastic or being inappropriate, especially when we give response to our children. So one of the things I do is when I get questions or comments that I don't expect, sometimes sound, in quotes, ridiculous. One of the things I do is that I take a pause, I structure my response before I speak so as not to model what I am not teaching my children to be. So, this is one of the things that as parents we should be mindful of. Another thing is managing our voice. You will notice that you would agree with me that it's quite difficult not to sometimes raise our voice, but it is very possible, especially when we are deliberate about it. Raising our voice can be a daily act if we don't caution it on time, if we're not deliberate about finding a strategy on how to respond without shouting. It's the same thing that I do. I take a pause, I take a breath, a deep breath down, I exhale. There's this urge, there's a strong urge that makes you want to scream. But I try as much as possible to make sure that the situation is not controlling me. Because when the situation controls you, you would you would not be able to manage your tone, your voice, the pitch of your voice. The intensity with which you speak, which may not be appropriate, which may not communicate what you intend to communicate. Because sometimes we feel that when we scream, we are emphasizing that thing we are communicating. But most of the time, it even gets the children off the edge. Like they can't even concentrate, they can't listen effectively the way you would want them to because you're screaming. So taking a pause really helps. You know, I read a scripture, Proverbs 15, verse 1 says, a gentle answer turns away wrath, but a harsh word stirs up anger. A gentle answer turns away wrath. If a gentle answer turns away wrath, then the opposite does what? And one of the things that the scripture has instructed us as parents not to do is to provoke our children, of which sometimes we provoke them and we don't know we are doing so. We feel we have the right, we are their parents, we can speak to them anyhow, we can raise our voice the way we want, we can use words carelessly. We ought to be mindful of the way we speak to our children, the way we respond to them, the manner in which we speak to them, the tone that we use in speaking to them is very, very important, especially when you want them to get what you're saying, you want them to learn from you, you want them to make progress in getting better at what you want them to improve on. Employ this strategy. It really helps. So next time you want to give that response, take a pause, take a breath. Before you give that response that may be inappropriate, before you scream at the top of your voice. It's okay sometimes when you lose it, but make sure that you're working on it. Make sure you're getting better. Make sure you are doing it better each time. Effective communication without being sarcastic, without being noisy, or without screaming at the top of your voice.